Hey guys, it's Tim from Timor Financial here with another market update for you. It's the end of the month, March 31st, 2021, and I want to give you my thoughts on the closing monthly candles on the major indexes and where I could see us going from here. And just as a reminder, as always, this is not investment advice. You should not take this as me trying to give you a suggestion on how to trade or what to do with your money. That's a personal decision between you and your financial advisor. This is just basically my thoughts and hypothesis on where we're going, and it's just meant to be educational and to help teach you some things. And so with that, let's take a look at what we got. I'm going to go ahead and flip my screen here. Okay, so first of all, I want to encourage you, if you've not watched my video from the end of last month of February 2021, do that if you do not understand how to read candlestick patterns and how to make sense of these different index funds and moving averages, because we will be talking about all those things and I don't want to leave you in the dark. So go back and watch that video if you haven't seen it yet. But we'll start off here with the S&P 500, and the ETF that tracks that is SPY, SPY. If you remember what we talked about last month, here we are in February, and we had kind of a sign of some continued exhaustion of bulls or buyers into this market after this really strong run we've seen for the last year. And that was indicated by this tall top wick and a relatively small body compared to the overall size of the move of the month. So my prediction at that point was that we were either going to go sideways and consolidate, or we would potentially retreat, but I didn't really expect a strong move higher. And the reality is we actually kind of got both in the month of March. We tried to sell off some in the market, but we never broke below the previous month's low. So you can see the bottom wick down here and the bottom wick of March pretty on par. So we came all the way down and we rallied back from there and actually ended up pretty strong, but right at the previous all-time high from the previous month. We made a small incremental new all-time high. This is a good candle. I would be encouraged by this. However, we could still see some consolidation and turbulence, even though it's not technically an inside candle because of the break of the high. We could still see some moves up and down, or a continued move up, but I would not expect to see a strong sell-off candle next month short of any news or any other factors in the market that come in and influence it. So pretty simple on the S&P 500. What I really want to focus on is QQQ. Now QQQ is what tracks the Nasdaq index, which is where all of your tech stocks and high growth are going to be. And if you remember last month, I talked about interest rates and how they were starting to have an effect on the market because they were starting to tick up. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean interest rates are high by any means. They're quite the opposite. They're actually pretty low. They're just off of their historic lows a bit. And so for the first time, it's putting some pressure on growth stocks. And so the Nasdaq is going to be the most affected by that, and consequentially has been the weakest so far to start the new year. So if we look at monthly candles, man, look at this. We've got 3 red candles in a row, and they're pretty much all doji candles, which again, a doji is when you have a long bottom and top wick and a very small body. It's basically an indecision candle. So you could go either direction out of that, but it's likely a sign of exhaustion and indecision between bulls and bears. You can have a doji candle on the way up, and you can have a doji candle on the way down. A lot of times on the way up, if you hit a doji candle and the next candle breaks the lows, that's a pretty clear reversal sign, and you might be heading lower. If you have a downtrend in a doji and you eclipse the previous month's highs, that's a pretty good indication for a reversal and a bounce. But we have 3 doji candles in a row here on the monthly, so you can see we really haven't gone hardly anywhere for the year. Here's January, slightly red, and February, slightly red, and we actually had, even though it's a red candle because it closed lower than it opened, we were up about 1.5 points for the month. So Nasdaq hasn't really gone anywhere for the year. But look what happened. We had a break of the previous month's lows with this wick, and we had a break of January's lows and settled all the way down here, which, you know, in a vacuum looks scary, like, oh man, we must be headed way lower. Maybe we're coming down to this first moving average support all the way down to 250, which is possible. But if you notice, we bounced pretty hard right at this 297 level, which happened to be previous resistance. Remember, the previous resistances become new supports. So where we were consolidating here in this bull flag back in the fall of 2020, we found support and bounced strongly back to it. If you notice, I have a trend line here, but you can't really make anything out on the monthly chart. So let me switch to a couple others. Here's daily candles, and I'll zoom out. Okay, here's a trend line that starts from the all-time high back in February to a short-term top on some of these candles, and it's a little messy on this, so I'm actually going to switch over to hourly because this is where I created it. So these are hourly candles on QQQ. Look what happened here. Here's our all-time high. We break down and we start to really challenge these moving averages. So we can see, all right, we're having our first real fade from the highs. We get a big gap down here, and now we're testing our 200 hourly candle, which is strong, should be strong support. Kind of dance around it, and then boy, continue to break down as interest rates continue to pressure the market. Here's the move down and the wave pattern. Here's the consolidation. Look at this. Could have a double bottom here, but no, we have a double top, double bottom. This is your classic bear flag, and now we have a break, a true break, and down to new lows. And we get all the way down to that 297, like I mentioned, which was previous resistance back in the fall. That acts as support, and we have a strong bounce. Try to crash down again, but kind of ran out of steam, and then a big reversal the next day. So here's our, at least for right now, our bottom. And we bounce up, hit this level, come down a bit, bounce up again, still can't break it. We've eclipsed a little bit with this wick, but the day did not close there, so we haven't really broken anything yet. Comes down again, look again, hits this trend line, breaks off of it. These trend lines work, I'm telling you. This is why charting is so fun to do and learn about. So we've had this downtrend line, so now we're clearly looking for a break of this to see any renewed strength and moves up. Consequently, you could also look, if I was drawing this as a triangle, which I could do, I could draw a trend line from here to here, and we can see a clear support on the downside and resistance on the top side. A break of this support would have indicated at least a retest, likely of these lows, and then we see where we go from there. But what do we get today? Last day of the month. They're always so sneaky with this stuff. We get a pretty strong break of this trend line, and it didn't immediately come down and retest or break below. So we ended the day in a strong position on QQQ. So if you're looking at the hourly chart, looks pretty decent. You know, we hit up top here because it's a previous top, so that's no surprise. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Thursday will be the first day of April. It's a new month. It's also a short week because of Good Friday, so this will end the week next week and tomorrow in the day's trading. But if we go to daily, still a strong, but not overwhelmingly strong, because look, we have 50-day resistance, and we haven't eclipsed any new highs. Once we eclipse some of these highs, then we're looking even stronger. But you can see this 100-day has acted as support on QQQ, and then finally back to monthly, and it just looks like a bunch of nothing because we haven't touched any moving averages. We haven't made any strong indications with these candles. So we're going to still have to see what happens with QQQ. I would be very encouraged if it took some leadership in the market back from the small cap stocks. And you saw FANG, which is Facebook, Amazon, Alphabet, Apple, Google, those types of things, continue to go back to a leadership position where they've been real laggards the previous couple months. Last chart I'm going to show you is IWM, which is tracking the Russell 2000. What's the Russell? Those are small cap stocks. Those are where a lot of retail and banks and travel and leisure are going to be. So these are the stocks that are most likely to benefit from the reopening trade. Okay, so if we look at what happened, look at the differences between all these three indexes. These are kind of the three major indexes outside of the Dow for tracking what's going on in the American markets. You can see these red candles back here from February of last year. This is COVID. This is the shutdown. A big move down on SPY, back up, and new all-time highs. QQQ, smaller breakdown because people realized to work from home. Amazon had record profits. Tech is where we want to be right now. It's the only way to continue our business and make money. So they have an even stronger rally off the lows and really, made very strong new highs. Bull flag consolidation, breakout, and losing some steam here a little bit, or cooling off. Watch what IWM did. Big move down for them. I mean, this is, again, travel and leisure, retail, all that stuff shut down. What are they going to do? They recover and bounce, but they didn't make a new all-time high when the other indexes were back in the fall of last year. They were still underneath their high. So still some concerns there, but man, look what happened in November of last year. Huge 20% almost candle. What happened here? We got the vaccine. There's hope for the future. We can kind of get back to normal here hopefully in the foreseeable future. And then we have continued strong candle after strong candle all the way through February. And that was really the leader. When IWM is going up, QQQ was lagging behind or going down. But February we have a doji, and a really big one at that. So a big top wick, big bottom wick, and relatively small body. So indecision. Where do we go from here? We could continue up, but I would bet the IWM maybe wants to cool off a little bit until we really get some stronger data that's showing the cases are continuing to go down, and we can continue to reopen major parts of our economy. So we'll see what happens. A very key level here will be the break of either the top or bottom wick of this monthly candle with IWM. So that's what I'm seeing. I've got, honestly, most of my focus on QQQ right now because I think that really needs to lead again. It's been leading for the last 10 years of the market, and so that's kind of where, most of the market weighting is in these big names. Right or wrong, good or bad, that's the way it is. So when these names don't lead, makes me feel less settled than when they're leading. So, and then honestly, S&P looks the strongest of the bunch with a nice green candle, but we'll see where we go from here. So that's all I got, guys. Hope that was helpful and useful. Again, just meaning to be informational. If you want to talk to me and you want to come up with a plan for an advisory relationship, or how to plan for your retirement, or maybe you've got some big things coming up in life and you just want to know what's the best way to grow your money to be able to service those needs, I'd love to talk to you. Follow me on Facebook or Instagram, Timor Financial, timorfinancial.com. You can send me a message there and find out more about the services that I provide. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to hear your feedback. Leave me a comment if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video.